These videos are made for entertainment and awareness purposes. We keep a neutral standpoint on the topics and creators we cover unless there is solid, undeniable evidence about the person's allegations or situation. We do not bully or harass others, and we do not condone the bullying or harassment of others. So please do not go on a witch hunt and bother anyone we cover here. Seriously, it's not cool. Thank you.
You guys know that recently I talked about the Illuminati drama. I talked about the drama that she's gotten herself into in the distant past.
The last one? Anyway, the point remains the same. Reality TV shows were a powerful tool, and I don't just mean in terms of money and ratings, but as fake and as ironic.
She was making all the cuts to spread her stuff because she probably knows deep down inside that the stuff she was digging up and made all the stuff she was giving us.
And so, like, when I look at someone like Blair, and I'm just like, yo, like, how could you be a piece of shit like that to your fucking friends? Like, they weren't just co-workers. They were your friends.
So, y'all are probably wondering, what the fuck is happening here? Boy, do I have a treat for you. Welcome to my one and only corporate casket. Illuminaughtii started off as a Reddit YouTuber like r/fresh and longnail. Blair created her YouTube account in early May of 2013. In the beginning, she would read and commentate on subreddits like r/askreddit and the like. Scrolling down to the beginning of her channel, those Reddit videos are no longer available to watch as they have been privated and she no longer associates with those she used to record with or anything Reddit related in general. After her channel began to take off, she switched to video essay style content covering things like MLMs or multi-level marketing, and shady companies including their eventual downfalls. She called them Multi-Level Mondays and Corporate Casket. She has been producing, and I quote that for a reason that I will cover later on in this video, these documentaries and grew to about 1.71 million subscribers. Now, as y'all know, this isn't Blair's first controversy. About 2 years ago, February 12, 2021, she was called out by Tipster for silencing those who criticized her. This, of course, didn't really go anywhere and people pretty much forgot and quit talking about it. Blair just kept on posting her regular videos as if nothing happened. 3 days before that, she was covered by Tommy C's SFTP for smearing, or as I like to call, shit-talking, a small YouTuber. Or she was small at the time, Cruel World Happy Mind. Blair claimed that Cruel World Happy Mind copied her video and wanted credit for it. Blair was unable to provide actual, non-vague evidence of that. Blair made a video smearing CWHM. That video has been taken down. She also refused to answer DMs from those trying to figure out what was really going on. She also claimed that r/ had swatted her and she was scared. This turned out to be false, as covered by Tommy. Yeah, that claim was complete bullshit. Blair made it up. And the whole cruel world, happy mind thing? Yeah, that was bullshit too. Oh, and of course, she says absolutely nothing about any of this and just goes on posting as usual. Other than that one time with Cruel World Happy Mind, which no longer exists. The end? No. Bro, we're just getting started here. This brings us to now. We got a lot to unpack here, so sit tight, grab your drinks and your popcorn or whatever, as I am about to go through this as they happened. The crap that started it all. iiluminaughtii, or Blair, received an email and a Discord message from Dan, an editor from LegalEagles, asking how to recreate the 3D effect. Instead of either just saying, "Nah, I'd rather not share," or, "Yeah, no problem, here," she attempts to blast them on Twitter, accusing them of stealing her style, or plagiarism. She claimed that not only did they attempt to steal this effect, she claims that they stole the paper rip and the highlighting effect, the effects that literally anyone who makes documentaries uses. LegalEagles responds by saying and proving that they've used these effects years before she even started making video essays. You can't own effects and editing styles. That would be like me saying that I own Minecraft roleplays because I upload them to my main channel, or claiming that I own the use of HD skins in my roleplays because I use them in my roleplays. See how ridiculous this sounds? We editors share our secrets and plugins and help each other to make our lives easier. That's not something you can copyright or claim ownership of. Turns out, it was Blair who was caught plagiarizing and tries to cover it up by saying in her iiluminaughtii Exposed video that she was just quoting that documentary and edited and cited it poorly. After attempting to ignore the situation, she publicized her apology to LegalEagles and deleted her tweets accusing them for the plagiarism. Hbomberguy mentioned iiluminaughtii in a tweet with a video clip of her video in comparison to the original documentary. I'll let y'all be the judge here.
Professor Hugh Freudenberg.
Professor Freudenberg has long been controversial.
A man named Hugh Freudenberg, a former immunologist who has been long controversial.
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit involving the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic child patients with blood products.
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit with the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic patients with blood products.
Then in 1995, he was suspended from practicing medicine and made to pay a $10,000 fine for his misuse and misprescribing of controlled drugs.
Then in 1995, he was suspended from practicing medicine and made to pay a $10,000 fine for his misuse of prescribing controlled drugs.
As y'all can see, all of Blair's colleagues have come out and posted really long threads detailing their experiences while working with her. We're not going to have time to read through all of the threads in their entirety here, so I will provide their links in the description below. I will, however, be going over the accusations against her. Let's start with the verbal abuse. For those of you who are unsure of what verbal abuse is the use of harsh language, manipulation, yelling, blaming, and all that other non-physical, unfun stuff that is directed at one or more people, usually done to keep someone in line, so to speak. I didn't even have to look this up because I am very familiar with this, unfortunately. Now that we got that out of the way, we can start digging into the fun stuff. According to the threads posted on Twitter by her colleagues, Blair would lash out at friends, fans, and has poor anger management skills as stated by the clique. She would often call him a bad friend, lazy, stupid, and other weird or random accusations that don't really have anything to do with clique. Blair is also known for spinning things around to make herself out to be the victim as shown here and the other threads. She forced her friends to choose sides and isolated them from their friends and family. She forced Oz to be the middleman and do her dirty work. There was always a villain of the week. One moment, the villain would be an ordinary person in their lives. The next moment, a hidden monster, as said by Wonder. Wonder also confirms all of the screaming, cursing, and meltdowns Blair's former friends mention in their threads and videos. Also, like the others, Wonder was shut out, shit-talked, and stripped of their friends. At the time all of this stuff was happening, Blair's channel was much bigger than her former friends. She claimed that she had connections, fame, and big, powerful friends on her side. I've already mentioned a couple of her lies earlier in this video. Now I'm going to go over her current ones. As you can see in the screenshot, Blair is known for her lies and manipulation. This is what Teresa originally said versus what Blair posted. She also often posts vague subtweets on her accounts to try and slander those who piss her off, as shown here. Blair's apology video alone, aside from the LegalEagles segment, is just full of false claims in an effort to not take accountability for her actions and deflect blame to make herself out to be the victim. Not once after the LegalEagles segment does she apologize for her behavior. Instead, she just continues to spin things in her favor. The clique ignoring the predator in his Discord situation, his use of bad language, claiming Wonder mistreated her dog, Casper, and their dog, James, which we will be going over right now actually. To save y'all 40 plus minutes of your time, I have recorded her main talking points after the LegalEagles segment, and we'll show them here, starting with the whole dog situation, which is on screen now. In this segment, she talks about how Wonder treated James and Casper.
When Wonder arrived in Colorado, to say he packed lightly would be a bit of an understatement. He arrived with barely any clothing, no food for his dog, not even a collar for his dog, just a bandana. As Wonder mentions on Twitter, that short amount of time we lived together was absolutely a nightmare. The tension began with our dogs and his unwillingness to help ease the situation between our pets. I did everything I thought of at the time to introduce James and Casper in a way that facilitated a good relationship between the dogs. They met on neutral ground at a dog park and only had supervised play at the house. Wonder did not want to facilitate the dog play, so this really only happened under mine and Oz's supervision. And when both myself and Oz would leave the house and Wonder would stay home, he has multiple times locked Casper away in an empty room while James got free roam over the entire house. I don't want to claim that I'm any sort of dog specialist, but I do know that James was the new dog in this house that Casper had already been living in. And dogs are territorial by nature, that this was Casper's house and now suddenly he was being locked away. Additionally, James had multiple accidents in the home and Wonder would not clean them. It was Oz who ended up taking on that responsibility. During Wonder's stay in Colorado, his actions and inactions regarding the care of his dog James were a main cause of tension in the house. Not only did it seem like James was receiving inadequate care due to the lack of identification with a collar, lack of food, lack of toys, and more, but Wonder was unwilling to do his part as a pet owner to keep the peace between the dogs too. Wonder's lack of responsibility led to multiple incidents in addition to what I've previously mentioned. Firstly, James bit Casper, and bit his ear so hard that Casper bled. At this point, I took Casper to live with my sister as I no longer felt comfortable having Casper alone in the house with Wonder and James. I reached out to my good friend who's also a dog trainer to see if he could help me with the situation. The second incident occurred on June 24th, 2021. On the night of the 23rd, Oz and Wonder went out together. I was exhausted, and so before they both left, I let them know that I was going to bed, which is exactly what I did. I was woken up at 2:30 in the morning by Oz because Wonder was panicking because James was gone. Wonder admitted that he took James outside to go potty, then having forgotten he had done so, he left James outside while Wonder left the house with Oz. That means that he left his own dog outside unsupervised for hours on end in the middle of the night. If I was aware that James was outside unsupervised, I would have done everything to ensure his safety and brought him back inside. There was unfortunately nothing I could do as I was already downstairs in my room sleeping by the time this was all unfolding. When I was woken up by Oz, I got on the Nextdoor app and I immediately made a post to try and locate James. I got a response around 10 a.m. the next day with a call from someone who had thankfully located James. The only evidence I have of this series of events is photos of James that Wonder sent to me at 3:05 in the morning on June 24th, because I needed some photos to post on Nextdoor. As for the photo that Wonder posted claiming that I live in a hoarder home, I want to clarify that, as previously stated, Oz and I had only started moving into the home around mid-April 2021.
This was, of course, debunked by Wonder's boyfriend in his own thread shown here. Blair also included Wonder's mental health in this video, in her apology video. Wonder's mental health status has nothing to do with the way Blair behaves. It is a result of the stress and treatment by Blair herself. Look, I'm not going to play this segment as I don't feel right in doing so. Blair should have never put this out on the internet. Period. If you want to see this and the rest of what she said in her apology, it is at the timestamp 32:15 in her Illuminaughtii exposed video. Moving on to the rest of the Wonder segment in Blair's video, Wonder and OneTopic were overworked, unappreciated, and paid late. Wonder missed Christmas with their family, fixing another editor's mistake. Of course, Blair denies this in her video. Blair purchased a car for Wonder, as she stated here.
He claims that he ended up with no car, barely any clothing, no money, and no home, which leads me to one of the stupidest mistakes of my life. After repeatedly hearing Wonder say how desperately he needed a car, and after believing what he said about how miserable he was, I decided to try and help my friend in a way that I now realize was pretty idiotic. I look back at this decision with regret and embarrassment. This part will get a little nitty-gritty with the details, but I believe I need to fully flesh out all of the information to give you the full picture. After many in-depth discussions with Wonder, I made the decision to purchase a vehicle that he had already agreed to enter into a rent-to-own contract with said vehicle.
She then took the car after Wonder broke the agreement, as stated here.
There were 2 outstanding instances that voided our agreement and constituted the repossession of my vehicle. The first was the proof of insurance that Wonder never provided. Insurance that is something federally required of any vehicle on the road in the United States. The second infraction on our agreement occurred when Wonderstruck left the state of Colorado to go back to Austin, Texas. You can clearly see these stipulations in the document on the screen right now. Due to multiple defaults by Wonder in our contract, I felt that I had no choice but to repossess the vehicle, which was my property because I am the one who owned it. When I landed in Austin, Texas, I called the non-emergency Austin PD 311 number to explain the situation to them. I told them that I had all of my title documents on me, I had the extra key, I had my insurance cards for the vehicle, and I asked them how I should proceed. They told me they were unconcerned as I was well within my legal right to collect my own property. They furthermore offered me a police escort for the repossession if I wasn't able to collect the car on my own. So on July 29th, 2021, I was able to get a hold of my vehicle and I took back my property.
After Blair got the car back, she states in her apology video that the car was damaged, trashed, and basically not in good condition. She shows photos of the car as proof of this. What she did not mention was the fact that Wonder was living in the car and was trying to get it fixed. The crack was caused by a semi-truck that kicked a rock up into it. Wonder never complained about their car breaking down. They never said it would break down if they made the trip. The car was not old. Wonder did have insurance on the car. The car was not in Texas, as Wonder was not living there. Wonder never got their belongings back despite them sending legal demand letters, which Blair said she'd make arrangements to return them. She never did.
Blair claims in her apology video that the clique had a child predator in his Discord server and ignored the situation back in September of 2020. This is what she said in her video in regards to the clique.
I want to take a couple minutes to bring up the clique and the many claims that he made on Twitter recently. The clique brings up how, as he puts it, a very convenient series of videos resurfaced with him saying some not-so-savory things after he left Sad Milk. His old videos, as he puts it, aged like milk. They did. I'm not going to dive into it further. The information's out there if you so choose to look. And as Click stated, those videos are 11 to 14 years old. And to be perfectly clear here, those videos are not any of the reasons as to why we split ways in Sad Milk, as Click tries to insinuate. Even back in 2020, I had stated that those videos had nothing to do with the ending of Sad Milk. I was actually unaware of those videos at the time of our friendship, but had I been aware of them, that friendship would have likely ended sooner. Unfortunately, when those videos surfaced, it wasn't really all that shocking to me, as OzMedia and I had actually talked about how Click had been using the R slur while we played games together. I thought, or I wanted to assume that I had misheard, but Oz said that he was uncomfortable with it and said something, but the language continued. Click, you are right. Those videos in question are old, and at this point, they're kind of irrelevant. People can learn and people can change. That being said, at the time in 2020, Click was still using horrifying language and slurs that have long been deemed unacceptable. I'd now like to address the Click's claims that I had any involvement in trying to gain control of his Discord server by, as he says, tossing around accusations at staff. Because unfortunately, there were some truly sinister things occurring in the Click's Discord that were brought to my attention. For this next section, I would like to provide a trigger warning. There will be mentions of explicit sexual language, mentions of pedophilia, graphic imagery, and inappropriate behavior around minors. Before I go any further into this, I want to mention that there's going to be resources in my description box regarding what I'm about to discuss now. I do think it's relevant to bring up that in 2019, the Click's channel was terminated by YouTube for sexual content. At the time, a few YouTubers, including myself and OzMedia, band together to help reinstate Click's channel. Oz spoke to his MCN representative, and I spoke with YouTube directly. This is something that I now look back on with so much regret. Had I known at the time what was going on behind the scenes, I never would have participated in helping Click with his channel. Allow me to explain the situation a little bit. The Click and I had shared Discord moderators around the time of Sad Milk being created. Due to the Click's inaction, our shared moderators had brought a situation in his server to my attention, a situation involving pedophilia. In Click's Discord, there was a 19-year-old bragging about a 12-year-old that he was claiming to be involved with. A moderator reached out to get more information on this situation. This 19-year-old then reiterates, and I am directly quoting this here, "I talked with my therapist about it, even too, and he told me as long as I don't touch her, it's okay." Click and his team did not pursue any immediate action to ban, restrict, or report this individual. So those shared mods came to me, and they told me that they were uncomfortable. So we used this individual's ID number, and we banned them from the Sad Milk server and from my server, and we reported them to Discord's trusted safety team, who we hope did pursue this further. Then I went to contact Click to see what was going on, and it was mainly because I didn't want to believe that he would blow off someone clearly discussing such an inappropriate relationship. In fact, this was right off the heels of one of his admins sharing pornographic content to people that they knew were minors. One thing that I would like to point out here is how these users were pushing pornographic materials to a minor who explicitly states that their parent is in the room with them, so they were hiding their phone. I would like to point out that a common tactic for abusers who are attempting to groom children is that they expose them to pornography and other sexual content in an attempt to desensitize the child. I'll provide Rain's page on grooming for further information. And if you're a child currently in a similar situation, I urge you to speak to a trusted adult or authorities. And again, resources will be provided below. Having to relook at these messages again still makes my stomach turn, even 3 years later. When Click didn't initially take action, I switched tactics with him, and I called OneTopic, who was and still is, to my understanding, one of the Click's closest friends on social media. I got into a call with both of them, and I shared these files with them. And OneTopic opened the files, he was horrified, and he said, and I quote, "I've read one, and I don't want access to those screenshots." It was after this conversation that Click took action and reported and removed that individual from his server. I really wouldn't lightly make accusations like this unless I had seen them for myself. And let me be abundantly clear here, I am not trying to accuse the Click of pedophilia, nor do I have any reason to believe that he could be a pedophile. However, he cultivated an environment that was a breeding ground for inappropriate behavior with minors to occur, and that's exactly what happened. Having our shared moderators approach me in my server about this very serious situation in his server was extremely uncomfortable, but something the moderation team felt needed action that was not being taken. Furthermore, referring to these shared moderators that we had as spies, as he said on Twitter, it only dismisses the fact that he allowed the sexually explicit language to occur around minors. He referred to them as spies, which only shows that he didn't really see any issue with the state of his server. Mark, I'm going to address you directly here. On your Discord server that had, and likely still has, minors present, you as an adult need to do the right thing and actually pay attention to what goes down in your server, or ensure a team will take action against inappropriate behavior. I am sorry to those minors who were spoken to in such an inappropriate way. You were, and some of you likely are, still children. Adults should not be having sexually charged conversations with you or sharing sexually explicit photos with you. This is and always has been unacceptable. I will be providing links in the description box for a few resources for anyone who has been negatively impacted by these events. I did what I could, but I wish I could have done more, and I wish the Click had more accountability of his own server. I also hope that since my falling out with Click, that he has learned from his past errors and worked to better himself. I hope that he and his current moderation team are holding themselves to a higher standard. The past 3 years have been challenging to all of us, and I think it's safe to say that living through a global pandemic has changed us in one way or another. Click, I hope you have learned to not tolerate such behavior in your server. I hope that you have learned from this and that you'll continue to strive to do better. I truly regret ever being friends with you, and I hope that I can finally close the door on that chapter in my life. I want nothing to do with you, and I can only hope that I will no longer be associated with you after all of this.
What she neglects to mention is the fact that it was 2 a.m. for him. Therefore, he was asleep at the time this happened. She also doesn't mention that the person was banned that night by the Click's mod team before the Click woke up, as Click himself said here.
It's context and additional information that might be needed. Finally, after 2.5 years, I get to set the record straight. Number 1, the Discord situation. Content warning, mention no predator behavior and adult topics. The situation brought up mentions a pedo joining my Discord. It is said that neither I nor my team took action against this predatory person and actively chose to do nothing to resolve the situation, basically just letting them run amok. Click did not address it or wasn't fast enough, etc. Here are the DMs of said creep, full username, etc. that she has already showed in her video. Now, the first detail that was conveniently left out of the accusations is that I was asleep. In my time zone, this occurred around 2 a.m., and within the span of me sleeping, this random creep in question had already gotten banned. I took the liberty to dig through the old ban logs on my server, and here it is. He was banned at 2:14 a.m., my time zone. She brought OneTopic into a chat room, as she shown in her video and her accusations. However, her statement in these DMs about Click knowing is very odd, as I would have been very unconscious when the ban was happening. She might be referring to me knowing by the time I woke up, but the fact remains I wasn't there, nor did I endorse this random creep. Hey, I don't mean to bother you, but can we talk soon when you're free? I'm in a bit of a conundrum and I don't know what to do. Yeah, what's going down? Can I call? GF is getting ready for work. How sensitive is the topic? Very. It involves the P word. What is going on? In Click server and Click knowing. 19-year-old and 12-year-old combo public server, blah blah blah, did nothing, and this was on the heels of Click's admin sending naughty stuff. And OneTopic says, hang on, I'll walk over to my mic. Okay, ready? Thank you, always. But as stated, a ban was already issued before I even woke up, about 14 hours before Blair brought this up with OT, if her timestamps are correct. So this was actually not a ban I was even personally involved with. It's also important to note that this is, sadly, the norm. Our server alone has 44,000 members and almost 3,000 bans. It is a well-known fact that Discord has real problems when it comes to exploitative individuals and communities using their platform. We as creators do our best to clean this up, as well as the platform teams. Neither I nor my team condone this sort of exploitative behavior and do our best to address it when it comes to attention. This isn't a Click's Discord issue, it's a Discord issue. By the time I woke up, the staff spaces were in chaos. I assume she had asked her crossover staff to leave my server after the two teams clashed, fighting, tossing around odd allegations, and blame. Keep in mind that the creep that joined the VC was already banned for many hours. And this is what I saw when I woke up in the morning. Tons of messages and staff chats, arguments, white names from people leaving. I tried to get an explanation to what happened, and it took me a good few hours to dig through everything, talk to people, try to de-escalate, and evaluate who had done wrong, and so on. The situation recap wasn't exactly presented to me on a silver platter. In the allegations against me, it is claimed that I didn't react or respond to the situation. Number 1, being asleep at 2 a.m. detail was completely left out. 2, the fact that he was actually banned before this whole thing was left out. And 3, a receipt of Illuminaughtii reaching out to me to get me to respond wasn't shown in her video or allegations. And the reason for this is that it doesn't exist. The person who reached out to resolve this was actually myself. And here are the DMs where I did so. Probably worth going to you too, as this thing seems to be blowing up. What have you seen of the recent events on the server? If you got time, I think a quick VC would be good, because this is going on the Warpath, it seems. Warpath referring to the teams arguing and fighting, not actually the ban itself. As I said, that had been issued 16 hours before this conversation took place. 1 sec, I'm gonna call VLT. Can I bring him in too? Sure, no problem. Here's a zip file, which is all the images that she showed in her video of the DMs with the creep, etc, etc. By the way, gonna talk to my admins in 15. That's when this person is backing in VC. Okay, I'm writing in the group DM right now. I will let you guys know when all actions have been carried out. I am proud of you. It sounds from this chat, starting from the time I was caught up on the night's events to the time after our voice call, that it worked out quite well. Of course, important to note that this conversation was also an outreach to resolve the Discord team's issue, not about the ban itself. To further clarify, the ban had been issued 16 hours before this conversation and before I ever woke up. And yes, it was later brought to my attention that there were a couple of mods that failed to act initially. This was evaluated by me and the team to take proper action. It's important to keep in mind that these people aren't trained law enforcement, but community volunteers. Myself and the admin team I work closely with do our best to resolve any situations that occur in the Discord. Also important to note that this screenshot from the group call that she brought up is simply OT not wanting some random creep statements in his work drive. It's not that he was so torn up about my disgusting Discord, as he's insinuated in the video for some reason. If OT was really so disgusted with me and how I run things, isn't it odd that we've been close friends for the 2.5 years after this happened? It's a very odd thing to try to twist in her video. Of course, she would retell the story quite differently to anyone who would listen. Here's a screenshot where she's sharing that same group call and saying, this is that call where I railed Click for not doing anything for months. Note that this date is in October, a couple of weeks after we had left Sadnote. The statement about us leaving was made in November, but we had actually left a month prior. So the twisting of these events have been going on for quite a while. As for the staff member sharing inappropriate artwork in Discord, this happened about 5 weeks prior, so much sure was being titled.
Blair runs to OneTopic 14 hours after the person was banned from Click's server to tell them that Click allowed the person to remain in his server despite, like I said a moment ago, being banned 14 hours prior to her conversation with OneTopic and 16 hours before her conversation with the Click himself. Now that we've covered the known lies of Blair, or the Illuminaughtii, we can now move on to her harassing her former friends and fans. August 9th, 2020, Blair tweeted this. She sent her fans to chase an artist off the internet because they drew her pyramid character in a long-sleeved swimsuit. This was the gross art she was so upset and offended over. Not long after this, she included fan art in one of her recent videos of her character drawn in a swimsuit. The funny thing about this whole her being appalled by lewd fan art thing is that before she came to YouTube, she used to make mature content on Vimeo talking and telling stories about all kinds of adult shit. NeoAugie watched a few of these now deleted old videos she made on a livestream. The livestream is linked below with the timestamp so y'all don't have to go searching for it. I'm not gonna show this as I have nothing against people who make adult content. I'm personally not into it, but there's nothing wrong with it. The only reason I even mentioned this here in the first place is because she sent her fans to bully one of her fans off the internet because they drew her a pyramid in a lewd manner. I just found it kind of ironic.
The subtweeting. Every time someone wrongs her, she very vaguely tweets about them on her accounts. She never directly names them except for the art thing.
My main grievance was her insistence to create new rumors and slander about myself, OneTopic, and others after we left, and how she wouldn't leave us alone. This was super hard to address in any capacity, as she rarely made the accusations directly, always talking through someone else's mouth or hyping up some young impressionable fan or associate to the point they would try to expose me, or simply vague posting on Twitter with very suggestible timings. I will reference all of this later on in the video.
Click, Wonder, OneTopic, and Oz all confirmed that Blair often harassed them. So much so, in fact, that she had people as mods monitoring Click in his own server, attempted to gain control over his server by making false accusations against his staff to replace them with her own. Put Wonder's mental health on blast for the entire world to see, constantly insulted Click and OneTopic, made sock accounts to stalk them, tried to get a lawyer to silence anyone who tried to say anything about her, and so much more that we probably don't know about yet.
Nice little Discord plug. Hashtag sponsored by my Discord, heck yeah. Number 2, Click using abhorrent language. Content warning, mention of slurs. I will be brief here because there isn't really much substance. She claims I was tossing around slurs when gaming with friends. The only evidence she has in a group chat where she's talking to Wazi, among a few others. So it isn't an actual receipt of anything I did or said. It's not even a conversation I'm in, but just a few anonymous names venting in a group chat. However, to try to make sense of this, I actually asked Oz about this screenshot directly, and he had this to say. Yeah, I'm not really sure what the r-slur thing was about. I not only don't have any memories of it, but would only have to assume based on my past actions that I either A, over-embellished to further feel accepted of the tone of one instance, never of course realizing the damage it would cause. I'm sorry about this if that is the case. B, Blair and I had discussions in relation to this and had created a behind-the-scenes narrative of what to say. This was also very common when we lived under the same roof. C, there was also watching how Blair would twist and omit truths to people. While I don't have any direct proof of this, I will say that watching Blair just say the right amount of truth to people to get their praise and adoration may have swayed me to do the same. Edit, there's also Chastity said this like way back in 2019. I think the language I used in the group chat was more to put distance between us, not great on my part. It would have to be one of those, or a mix, honestly, because I don't remember you saying it. Not saying it didn't happen, of course, but I don't have any memories of it. I'm sorry for the pain that comment caused, man. Apologies will never, of course, repair the actions that I have made, and when all this went down. I'm sure there is more shitty things I've done or said that I honestly, for the life of me, can't remember. As for Blair claiming to use abhorrent language such as the N-word, the only evidence she ever gave us was, by her word, claiming that when the two of you were playing Dark Souls 3, you referred to enemies or shadows or Ash as N-lets, or something along the lines of that in December of 2019. This was not brought up until after Sad Milk split. And to be clear, I don't hold a grudge about this against Oz in the least. I can't say for sure, but to me it looks like Oz was just being pushed to prove his loyalty in a way. I wish you all the best, man, and I hope you get to rebuild your channel or whatever you want to do with your life. Before we move on, I'm just going to point out some funny hypocrisy. She said she would never be friends with someone that used that language, yet she regularly played games with me as a friend during this time, where I allegedly kept on saying these things. Which one is it? I don't think you can have both. And to add an extra layer of transparency on my own behalf, I didn't actually know the R word could be considered derogatory up until maybe 2020, so it's possible I said it before that point, but I don't recall specifics. When people came to me around this time and told me they had had the word used against them simply for being neurodivergent, I was surprised, as that had not been the case around me when I grew up, but I personally stopped using it in my content or for posts I read out, and also did my best to remove jokes containing the word in older content, simply because I didn't want my community to get the wrong idea about the values I held. I personally don't find the word too outrageous and still hear it on a regular basis on YouTube or in the online world, but I did opt out of using it in my content after this was being brought up to me by my fans.
She even paid someone $200 to dig through Click's old videos from up to 14 years ago, and finding anything she could use against him.
Click even has proof of Blair paying someone for this, as he states here. The slurs in question are the words, and by the way.
Grasping at straws. And if this wasn't enough, here's a former staff member of hers getting paid to sift through raw audio recordings of me looking for dirt, more specifically the R word. I needed to work with this person to help me find Click saying the R slur in Sad Milk's raw audio. I can do that, just let me grab a shower and I'll be down. She claims he said it in a Sad Milk video but can't remember which one, and she's over her head. I'll pay you $200 to find it, and here's the payment. I mean, there's just an example. I'm sure there's more, which I don't have a problem with the word R, but she does for some reason, even though she uses it in private.
She posted this on her alt Twitter account, DoobieSchmerz, as shown here on screen now. She of course tagged another account of hers, SadMilk, and tweeted about it on her SadMilk account. She has an account on her Reddit under the same name, DoobieSchmerz, replying to her post on SadMilk in her subreddit.
Did I mention that she threw Wonder's YouTube play button in the trash?
Like she's done before in the past, Blair continues to attempt damage control by deleting negative comments, old posts, tweets, and videos. You can see for yourself by going to any of her videos and scrolling through the comments section. The vast majority of them are either supportive of her or have nothing to do with the ongoing situation. The entirety of SadMilk and its community tab is gone. Her old problematic, including all the LegalEagles tweets except for the apology, are gone. Her Reddit community has been privated and doesn't show up in search. Pretty much anything and everything that makes her look bad has been deleted. However, her alt Twitter accounts DoobieSchmerz and SadMilk are still on Twitter, which really surprises me, to be quite honest.
Since all of this came to light, she really hasn't addressed anything other than her apology video. She's been posting her regular videos as if it were just a typical Tuesday. I put her in quotes because she doesn't even make her videos. She just reads the script into a mic. She doesn't write her script. She doesn't edit anything. She doesn't make thumbnails or do any of the actual work that goes into making videos on her channel. She's basically just a voice actor.
Apology video, she claims that the click didn't pay his share of the editor's fees and oh so conveniently left out the fact that he was struggling financially and that his card declined the $400 payment he tried to make for those fees. After they missed Christmas with their family, fixing an editing mistake made by another editor, they reveal that it took over half a month to get paid for their work. Blair kept delaying her editor's paycheck so that she could buy unneeded expensive crap and spend hundreds for food in a single day. And finally, last but certainly not least, her house. This is the state of Blair's house, the house she shared with her friends and her dog Casper. This is not safe. If a fire had broke out in her home, all that clutter would make it hard to get everyone and pets out. Firefighters would have a hard time going in to save anyone in the house if escape was not possible. And all that clutter would become fuel for a fire. Forget about her house being disgusting. The state of her house is downright dangerous. People have died because of stuff like that. Not being able to get out in time.
I don't even know where to start. I personally started watching Blair back in 2019 when Reddit videos were really popular. I honestly would have never thought that she would do shady shit like this. The abuse, the harassment, the sock accounts, stalking, and the lying, it's just insane. It's not hard to not be a shitty person. It's really not. None of this shit was necessary, no matter how frustrated or stressed she claims to have been. Normal people don't do this shit. Hell, I write, with help of course, film and edit all of my projects myself, and also play characters in my friends' roleplay projects, and not once have I ever abused, stalked, or harassed someone. Not even off the internet. I don't understand what went through her mind to make her think, yeah, this is totally okay. I'm not doing anything wrong. I hate that I used to watch her channel regularly, now knowing who she really is as a person. Blair, if you're watching this, please look back on your behavior and really reflect on it. Stop going after your former colleagues and leave them alone. Quit the lying, the vague subtweeting, and for the love of God, clean your house so you don't wind up trapped in it if, God forbid, something happens. Instead of doubling down, learn from it. I hope y'all enjoyed my one and only corporate casket. If you're new here and like what you see, consider subscribing so you won't miss out on future videos. This is iTrash, or iPod Girl, signing out.
Exposed, 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 exposed.